Turkey Day's coming up, y'all. You ready? Welcome back to Hats Off to You. My name's Jay, and here we are, a second week. Woo, right? Yeah, woo. This is a very significant week for the American people because we have a holiday coming up. We're kind of in the middle of holiday season, right? From October, really it starts in like August when you first start seeing things come poking out, some slivers of Halloween decorations. But really and truly through October, through November, and through December, we kind of have a marathon of holidays, right? With Halloween, Thanksgiving, and Christmas. And here we are up against Thanksgiving, which is basically an excuse to eat a whole bunch. Now, Thanksgiving and Christmas kind of get lumped together, and I'll be honest, I do it. And I'm not saying you're wrong if you do that, but from the latter part of November through the latter part of December, there's a lot of imagery of good tidings and hanging out with your family and talking about just life and catching up and just sitting around with them, and just having a good time. You know, every picture you ever see, every song you ever hear is how great and wonderful the times are through the holiday season. And it ain't like that in real life. You know, IRL, there's a lot of frustration that goes into it. There's a lot of, well, we'll just call it what it is, hate that goes into it. Because when you're talking about Thanksgiving, you think about just the day Thanksgiving. You think about you wake up, you see the parade, you put the turkey in the oven, you put the dressing in, you make your casseroles, you make your whatever, and oh, we're going to Grandmommy's house this year, or we're going to Uncle Billy's house this year, or hey, you know what? They're coming to our house this year. And what should just be a very simple delegation of, well, you're going to their house. Okay, well, we're going to their house. And okay, well, now we'll go this day and then we'll maybe spend the night. And then, okay, well, we'll go back this day or whatever. And we'll go and I'll bring this if you bring that, and oh, you make a really good sweet potato casserole. Oh, well, thank you. Well, you can smoke a ham like nobody's business. Oh, thank you, man. And then we all agree what we're good at, and we all bring it there, and then it's all there on the table, and we just eat it, and then it's just the end of it, and then we go home after we watch some football, right? That's how it should be, but it rarely ends up going that way, especially for younger or newer couples. It seems like maybe the more senior members of the family have it a little easier because, yes, most people come to their house because at this point in life they typically have the larger house with the larger dining room or the more area to sit. But then it's a potluck. Hey, you know, you bring everything, I'll cook a meat, and then you just bring me what you got, right? So then everybody else, family members who don't talk to each other very often throughout the rest of the year, now suddenly have to figure out, okay, well, I guess I'll bring the beans, but you know, Susan over there, she might bring that congealed salad. I don't really like that congealed salad, if we're just being honest. So I think what we'll do, I'll make a pie too. I'll make a pie. I would say pumpkin pie, but Jerry's new wife, I think I heard her say something on Facebook once. She didn't like pumpkin. So if I do pecans, well, if I do pecan pie, then and you see how it just kind of spirals out of control. And that's just one person, right? Or with one or two types of dishes. You think about all the people who have to make a dish or have to prepare a certain type, because you don't want everybody to bring veggies, because it ain't Thanksgiving if you just have veggies, unless you're vegetarian or whatever, and hey, that's fine too. I'm not saying, but for me, you got to have meat there, and you can't skimp on the meat, right? You got to have the good stuff. You got to have the ham. You got to have the turkey. Sometimes people get crazy. They'll do barbecue at Thanksgiving. Yeah, that's good stuff. But there's a lot of planning that goes into it, and it's sort of sporadic planning because, well, we don't know what they're bringing. Well, pick up the phone and call the person and figure out what it is that they're bringing so that you can know what you need to bring. See, so I'm a simple man. I like simple things. I don't believe in complicating the issue, right? So here's just some tips from me to make your Thanksgiving a little more bearable. You might just be doing something low key. You might just be hanging out with your friends or whatever. You might have a Friendsgiving, I believe I've heard it called. I did that too, so no judgment here. But, because there's kind of an expectation that we see, like the Norman Rockwell painting of people around a table, and we hear the songs and we think, oh, well, it's got to be like that. So we try to take our normal lives and make it something that it may not necessarily actually be. So I'm here to try and help, right? First off, let's take that expectation right here, right out the window, okay? We're not going to have the picturesque scene that we're familiar with for Thanksgiving there. We're not going to do it, because when you set unrealistic expectations, that's when you get disappointed. Walk into your family's Thanksgiving shindig expecting to have a fist fight with somebody. Walk in there expecting everything to look like pleasantly shaped mud, and somebody's going to take a swing at you, maybe with the pan that the turkey was on. If you go in there, it's my thing, one of my beliefs, that if you don't really have high expectations, then you're less likely to be disappointed. So first rule, walk in with just completely don't even walk in with low expectations. Imagine that play out the scene in your mind like you've had a fist fight, and when you walk in and you go to hug your cousin, glare at him for a little bit. Set the mood right there, just right there, right? Okay. Second thing is, we all know what Thanksgiving food is. Okay, let's not pretend that there is any other Thanksgiving food besides what is established Thanksgiving food. I'm talking about turkey. I'm talking about smoked ham. I'm talking about dressing, stuffing, depending on where you're from. I'm talking about casseroles, vegetable casseroles, which are things where, any other time of year we just eat green beans. But you know what? It's the holidays. It's now in a casserole form, right? Potatoes, hey, you know what? We can casserole that. Sweet potatoes, we can casserole that. Corn, you can casserole that. You can casserole anything if you just throw some soup and some other things, casserole mixture, whatever it should be in there. So just stick with the basics. A lot of people, I think, once again, trying to do the high expectation thing, they go in and they think, I saw something on Pinterest, or I saw one of those top-down sort of things on Facebook, and that looked really good, and I think don't do it. I'm going to stop you right now. This is me kind of grabbing you by the collar and pulling you back here on the ledge, all right? Don't do that, okay? Do not try the thing that you've never tried before. Just don't do it, because what's going to happen is, the people who did it on Facebook, that ain't the first time they did it, all right? You're going to try to do it, and you're going to be like, well, I put in exactly what it said, and I did it just the way that it said, and it's just not setting. I don't understand. It's soup. It's not casserole yet. It's soup. If you just stuck with what you knowed, you'd be okay. Stay in the comfort zone, okay? If you want to dash it up a little bit, maybe we're going to put some peppers or some extra seasoning or something in here. You know what? Jazz up it, the normal things a little bit, but just do that. Stay with the normal stuff, right? Don't I got a hairspray and it's just going all out of wonkers here, man. What is that? We gotta fly away. Okay, back. Okay, so yeah, don't try to go crazy. Don't try to go crazy with it. Okay. And like I said, what the worst thing is, and this is me using what little life experience I have to try and tell you, especially up and coming type people, uh, maybe you're newlyweds, and that's great for you. I'm so happy. Newlyweds or freshly engaged people, um, it's gonna be rough on you. Okay, it gonna be it gonna be bad, right? Because see, you've dated your fiance or you've been with your wife, husband, whatever, for months, years. You know them. You cut up with them. You know how they're going to think. You know what they're going to say before they say it. Your extended family may not necessarily know how this person is and wants to get to know, which is fine. I understand. But that's the thing is everybody wants to see you. Um, if you're a newlywed and you have suddenly when you invite another person into your life thinking, well, it's just me and this person, you are wrong, bucko. Because what happens is you've now accumulated an extended family way over yonder somewhere, right? um, Now you've got another set of parents, grandparents, uncles, cousins, nieces, whatever. You've got family over here now that you have to go put in some QT with them too now. But you know that you always went to your Uncle Billy's house when you were a kid, and so you don't necessarily want to give that up. But there's a little bit of compromise. But your spouse needs to realize that there's some compromise too. Which, granted, it doesn't always work out that way because you've done one thing forever, and now we've gone and got married, foolish, selfish us, and now we've thrown off the family's plans. So uh, don't stress. Plan early. Talk about it often. Don't kick it down the road because then you know you're 2 days away from Thanksgiving. Where are we going to go eat? Uh, did your parents say something about? Go ahead, get it figured out. Talk about it. Have a plan. Have it early. All right, and go ahead and have the meal and everything prepped the day before. It might sound like, oh, well, it won't be hot. It'll taste like leftovers. It'll have that leftover aftertaste. Don't worry about it, okay? If you fry the turkey, you smoke the ham, you make the casserole, you bake the dressing, and just don't put it in the fridge necessarily, but just maybe kind of wrap it up in some foil, leave it in the oven sort of overnight, maybe leave it on like a real low temperature or something just to kind of keep the freshness in it. As long as you don't tear into it, it'll still be fresh for a day or two, right? So don't, like, on Thanksgiving, the day of, don't be trying to flash fry the turkey the afternoon before you're supposed to go down there for dinner, all right? Don't do it. Don't do last second shopping trying to grab whatever sad, wrinkled looking hams are still on the shelf at the store. Don't do it, okay? Don't do it. I'm looking out for you. So it's about planning. It's about communication, and just have a good time, right? Because like I said, if you go into it thinking you're going to be miserable, then you're probably going to at least be somewhat pleasantly surprised. And really that's what you have to look for with holidays is there comes a point where you start to say, this wasn't terrible. This wasn't terrible. And that is what you call a qualified success, is when something is not terrible. And maybe it'll be great. Maybe you will have a fantastic Thanksgiving, and I sincerely hope that you do. I hope I do. Have a good Thanksgiving with lots of chatter and cutting up and really awesome food. But be prepared for it to kind of be bad, just so you won't be disappointed. Plan early, plan often, talk about it often, and go ahead and be prepared ahead of time. Call the people up if you're not sure where you're supposed to be. That's how people know things. It's communication, right? So, here's to you. I hope you have a great Thanksgiving. Those are my tips for a great Thanksgiving. If, for whatever reason, you didn't abide by them, then I'm sorry that your Thanksgiving was terrible, right? Hats off to you.